The Rosicrucians and the Templars have been falsely accused of practicing obscene rites in their secret ceremonials. While it is quite true that the alchemical retort symbolizes the womb, it also has a far more significant meaning concealed under the allegory of the second birth. As generation is the key to material existence, it is natural that the fraternity of RC should adopt as its characteristic symbols those exemplifying the reproductive processes. As regeneration is the key to spiritual existence, they therefore founded their symbolism upon the rose and the cross, which typify the redemption of man through the union of his lower temporal nature with his higher eternal nature. The rosy cross is also a hieroglyphic figure representing the formula of the universal medicine. 3 Inserts. The alchemical androgen. From the Turb Philosophorum. The Turb Philosophorum is one of the earliest known documents on alchemy in the Latin tongue. Its exact origin is unknown. It is sometimes referred to as the Third Pythagorical Synod. As its name implies, it is an assembly of the sages and sets forth the alchemical viewpoints of many of the early Greek philosophers. The symbol reproduced above is from a rare edition of the Turb Philosophorum published in Germany in 1750, and represents by a hermaphroditic figure the accomplishment of a magnum opus. The active and passive principles of nature were often depicted by male and female figures, and when these two principles were harmoniously conjoined in any one nature or body, it was customary to symbolize a state of perfect equilibrium by the composite figure above shown. A Rosicrucian title page. From Mayer's Viatorium. Count Michael Mayer, physician to Rudolf II, was an outstanding figure in the Rosicrucian controversy. There is little doubt that he was an initiated member of the Rosicrucian fraternity, empowered by the order to promulgate its secrets among the philosophic elect of Europe. The above title page shows the 7 planets represented by appropriate figures. Behind the central figure in each case is a smaller emblem, signifying the zodiacal sign in which the planet is enthroned. In the arch over the title itself is a portrait of the learned Mayer. The volume of which this is the title page is devoted to an analysis of the nature and effect of the 7 planets, and is couched in alchemical terminology throughout. Michael Mayer concealed his knowledge so cunningly that it is exceedingly difficult to track from his writings the secrets which he possessed. He was profuse in his use of emblems, and the greater part of his philosophical lore is concealed in the engravings which illustrate his books. The Elementary World. From Mus Hermeticum Reformatum et Amplificatum. The outer circle contains the figures of the zodiac. The second, their signs and that part of the human body which they rule. The third, the months of the year, with brief notes concerning temperaments, etc. The fourth circle contains the elements accompanied by their appropriate symbols, and the following 7 circles mark the orbits of the planets. Also the planetary angels, the 7 major members of the universal man, and the 7 metals, each division appearing under its appropriate element according to the elemental names in the 4th circle. In the 12th circle appear the words "There are 3 principles, 3 worlds, 3 ages, and 3 kingdoms." In the 13th circle appear the names of the 12 arts and sciences which are considered essential to spiritual growth. In the 14th circle is the word nature. The 15th circle contains the following words. It is the great honor of faithful souls, that from their very birth an angel is appointed to preserve and keep each of them. See First English Translation, London, 1893. Continued. 15 Rosicrucian and Kabbalistic Diagrams. In his well-known work, The Rosicrucians, Their Rites and Mysteries, Hargreave Jennings reproduces 5 Kabbalistic charts which he declares to be genuine Rosicrucian drawings. He gives no information concerning their origin, nor does he attempt an elucidation of their symbolism. A recent writer who reproduced one of these charts correlated it to the emblematic tomb of Father CRC, thus exposing the true nature of Christian Rosenkreuz. The 5 plates reproduced in Hargreave Jennings' book are part of a series of 15 diagrams which appear in the magical, Kabbalistical, and theosophical writings of Georgius von Welling, on the subject of salt, sulfur, and mercury. This extremely rare volume was published at Frankfurt and Leipzig in 1735 and 1760. The numbers and figures on the charts refer to the chapters and sections of the writings. These 15 charts constitute a remarkable and invaluable addition to the few other known admittedly authentic Kabbalistic and Rosicrucian diagrams. Lucifer is the greatest mystery of symbolism. The secret knowledge of the Rosicrucians concerning Lucifer is nowhere so plainly set forth as in these plates, which virtually reveal his true identity, a carefully guarded secret about which little has been written. Lucifer is represented by the number 741. Von Welling does not give a complete exposition of the 15 charts. To have done so would have been contrary to the principles of Kabbalistic philosophy. The deeper significance of the symbols is revealed only by profound study and contemplation. Table I, Figures 1-11. Figure 1 is a Ptolemaic chart showing the true relationship existing between the primordial elements. Its secret significance is as follows: the outer ring enclosed by the lines A and B is the region of Shemaim, a Kabbalistic name for the supreme deity, signifying the expanse of the heavens, or a spiritual fiery water. Shemaim is the ocean of spirit, within which all created and uncreated things exist and by the life of which they are animated. In the lower worlds Shemaim becomes the astral light. The space between B and C marks the orbits or planes of the 7 spiritual intelligences called the divine planets, not the visible planets. According to the mysteries, the souls of men enter the lower worlds through ring B, the fixed stars. All creation reflects the glory of Shemaim, the energy that filters into the spheres of the elements through the windows of the stars and planets. Between C and D lies the region of the subtle, spiritual air, a subdivision of ether. D to E marks the surface of the earth, and C, by which are also meant grades of ether. E to F marks the lower region, called the gathering of the waters and the production of the virgin earth, or Aries. The alchemists called this quicksand, the true mystic foundation of the solid earth. F to G marks the circle of the subterranean air, which is more dense and coarse than that in the outer space. C to D. In this denser atmosphere the stellar influences and celestial impulses are crystallized into corporeal spirits, thus forming the multitude of forms which exist without knowledge of their own fiery source. G is the region of the central fire of the element earth, a coarse fire in contradistinction to the divine fiery Shemaim. The sphere of the starry heavens likewise has its opposite in the sphere of the subterranean air. And the sphere of the upper air or subtle vaporous water has its opposite in the sphere E to F. The focal point, D to E, between the 3 higher and the 3 lower spheres, is called the reservoir. It receives impressions from both the superior and the inferior regions and is common to both. Figure 2 is the Kabbalistic symbol of elemental water. Figure 9 represents the spiritual invisible water. Figure 3 is the Kabbalistic symbol of elemental air. Figure 7 represents the spiritual and invisible air. Figure 4 is the Kabbalistic sign of the elemental earth. Figure 8 represents the spiritual and invisible earth. Figure 5 is the Kabbalistic sign of the elemental fire. Figure 6 represents the spiritual and invisible fire. Figure 6, 7, 8, and 9 symbolize the 4 elements before the descent of Lucifer. They are the 4 rivers spoken of in Genesis, having their source in the one river, figure W, which represents the elements superimposed on one another. The golden ball in the center is Shemaim, the fiery source of all elements. Figure 11 is the emblem of the beginning and the end of all creatures. From it all things proceed and to it all must return again, to become one with the fiery water of divine understanding. Table E, Figures 12-51. Figures 12, 13, 14 demonstrate the sphere as a symbol of motion to be emblematic of fire, water, and air. And the cube as a symbol of weight to be emblematic of earth. The sphere rests upon a point, the cube upon a surface. The sphere is therefore used to symbolize spirit, and the cube, matter. Figure 14 demonstrates that atmosphere rushing in behind a falling object increases its velocity and apparently adds to its weight. The essential nature of each element is occultly signified by the peculiar symbol and character assigned to it. Of Figure 15, the symbol of salt, von Welling writes, "In substance the cube has 6 sides, corresponding to the 6 days of creation, with the point of rest the 7th day in the center of the cube. On each surface of the cube appear the signs of the four elements triangles. The alchemists declared that salt was the first